On air, online, on demand. Watch AFR when you want, where you want with CN8, the Comcast network.
Week, we've been comparing the candidates on a number of the important issues as we're gearing up for these conventions and beyond. So today, we want to focus on foreign affairs, their foreign policy matters. And we'll talk to Robert Tappan, a former high-ranking State Department official who served in Iraq, by the way, in 2004. And he'll be talking about the candidates in just a minute. But first, here's a look now at some of the latest numbers showing that the race is tightening between the two candidates. Here's correspondent Bill Snyder as he explains why comparing the candidates on foreign policy may be the big issue.
The race is getting tighter. Last month, Barack Obama led John McCain by 9 points nationally in the Quinnipiac University poll. And now, Obama's still ahead, but his lead has narrowed to 5 points. Here's one reason. We've had a 3 a.m. moment, an unexpected international crisis. The Soviet threat may be gone, but a Russian threat has emerged.
And in matters of national security, good judgment will be at a premium in the term of the next president, as we were all reminded 10 days ago by events in the nation of Georgia.
McCain saw his opportunity and he took it, vigorously denouncing Russian aggression and warning of the consequences. Obama was more measured in his response.
The next commander-in-chief is going to have to exercise the best possible judgment in getting us through these difficult times.
Which candidate do voters believe is better qualified to deal with Russia? McCain, by better than 2-1, more experience in military matters and foreign affairs. Obama argues that judgment matters more than experience. He claims the Bush administration's bad judgment led to this crisis.
We failed to head off this conflict and lost leverage in our ability to contain it because our leaders have been distracted, our resources overstretched, and our alliances frayed.
The sudden emergence of an international crisis is one reason Obama is underperforming. How do we know he's underperforming? Asked whether they would rather see a Democrat or a Republican elected president, voters nationwide give the Democrat a 12-point lead, more than twice Obama's 5-point lead.
That was Bill Snyder reporting. Joining me now to talk about this further, as I said, is Bob Tappan. As I mentioned, he's a former State Department official who served in Iraq in 2004 and is now president of the public affairs firm Weber Merritt. And he's joining me from Washington. Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having me, Art.
There's been so much talked about in this issue of foreign policy, and personally I think that this is going to be one of the key topics going forward, particularly when these candidates begin their debates and they talk about these issues side by side. John McCain is a war veteran. He was a prisoner of war, and he's a person who touts his experience in military matters and dealing with foreign entities. Barack Obama says that shouldn't matter quite as much as you think. What do you say?
Well, I think it is a matter of experience. John McCain has had a over 30-year track record of dealing with foreign policy issues and matters of great concern to the United States. Senator Obama has a much less because of his youthfulness, has a much less of a track record. However, I think both have had some very good advisors, and both have very serious approaches to both of the to foreign policy.
Yeah, this has been talked about and bantered about for quite some time. Barack Obama says it's judgment that matters, not the experience, because you can have experience and still make bad judgment calls. And it's also been said, I don't know so much by Senator Obama, but certainly by other political pundits, that just because you serve in Congress doesn't mean that makes you a very skillful negotiator in foreign policy matters. What do you say?
A fair point, I would say, but at the same time, the gravitas, the experience, the ability to operate under very difficult circumstances, and which only comes by time, I think is a very important point. Also, too, let's look at some of the foreign policy positions that Senator Obama has said over the past year or so. He's talked about an engagement with Iran, who in such a way that would really, I think, amount to opening a so-called dialogue would be would not be beneficial to the United States foreign policy.
Let me just jump in right here on that, because again, this is going to be a key matter. As you well know, across the world, there are a great number of other countries that don't hold America in high regard. The foreign relations have been damaged quite substantially. Barack Obama wants to try and correct some of that as a foreign ambassador, and we saw when he traveled to Europe recently and how he was received there. Is that so wrong that we began to repair the damage to the American reputation abroad?
Well, let's look at the facts. I think that a diplomatic approach to foreign relations and how we conduct ourselves in the world is certainly a very good way to go. But there are times when the United States needs to be tough, and some of the public statements of Senator Obama have indicated otherwise. I think that everybody would agree that the diplomatic approach is the first way to go. But when there are belligerent nations, or when there are nations who are threatening the national security of the United States and our neighbors, and as well as our allies, we need to take a very strong stance against that. And sometimes that requires military action. Sometimes that requires a much stronger diplomatic approach.
Right. Well, I know that there has been a lot talked about this, and it has been going about. It was mentioned in the 9/11 reports and how we should be dealing with foreign powers, and it will be debated for sure. We're out of time for now. I could talk endlessly on this, but Bob Tappan, thank you so much for sharing your time and your insight with me on this matter. I do appreciate it.
Thank you very much, Art.
Okay. By the way, you can see all of our reports comparing the candidates. It's on demand. We've covered some major issues on the campaign, and you can look under the Get Local tab, and then you can watch them, review them, take notes, whatever you like. It's all there for your pleasure.